Good morning, everyone. We're going to get started. To give our invocation this morning, the chair recognizes my good friend and my spiritual advisor, the Reverend John Roberts, Pastor Emeritus of Garden of Prayer Church. He is here today as the guest of Councilman Harity. I would ask all members and guests to please rise.
Let us pray. Our Father, first of all, we want to thank you for not only did you wake us up, but you helped us to get up. We were able to bathe ourselves without any assistance, brought us safely here this morning, and we take time to say thank you. I pray now that you would be with us on today. We pray for everyone under the sound of my voice. We ask you, O Lord, that you will continue to bless in this city. For this city, which has been known as brotherly love, have somehow turned into brotherly blood. We're asking now that you would watch over our young people, protect them and keep them safe from hurt, harm, and danger. We pray that you would bless our families that are going to work, watch over them and keep them safe. We pray for the leaders of this great city of brotherly love and sisterly affection. You said in your word that when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked rule, the people mourn. We ask, God, that you would take away the mourning that we have been shedding and the tears that have been falling. We pray now for the great leaders of this great city, that you would lead them and guide them into all truth. Bless them that they may be able to bless us and give us what we need. We pray now for the law enforcement of this great city, but I ask you that you would let an angel, not the ones from New York, but angels from heaven, to come down and watch over us, protect us, and keep us. Now, Lord, you bless us as we stand before you now. We ask that you would continue to be with us, lead us, guide us into all truth. And those, oh God, who are in leadership of this city, give them wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in what to do, how to do, when to do, where to do. We ask for your guidance, and we ask this in Jesus' name. And as always, Lord, thank you for listening. And all God's people said, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Pastor. We really appreciate you being here today. Council will be at ease. Thank you. Thank you again, Pastor. We really appreciate you. Our next order of business is the approval of the journal of the meeting of Thursday, March 30th, 2023, and the chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, March 30th, 2023 be approved.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly second that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, March 30th, 2023, stand approved. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and our journal is approved. And our next order of business is request for leave of absence, and the chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of members of council, there is a request for leave of absence today by Member Brooks.
Thank you. Let the record reflect that Councilwoman Brooks has granted a leave of absence. And the chair recognizes Councilman Squilla for a motion concerning certain legislative matters that may arise during the course of today's session of council that were not listed and circulated prior to today's session.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that any of the following matters, if considered today, may be added to the agenda for this session of council and is required by law, subsequently published on the amended agenda after the consideration of those matters. Resolutions authorizing hearings, amendments to bills on first readings, the reconsideration of a bill vetoed by or recalled from the mayor, amendments to bills recalled from the mayor, resolutions taking substantive action to be voted on in this session, a motion to withdraw a bill or resolution that is not on the calendar, a motion placing a bill or resolution on or returning a bill or resolution from the suspension calendar that is not listed on today's calendar. The purpose of this motion is to provide the public with notice concerning possible actions by council that arose too late to be included in the calendar that was published prior to today's session.
Thank you. It's been moved and second that the legislative matters stated by Councilman Squilla may be added to the agenda for today should those matters arise during the course of the session. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and motion is approved. Our next order of business is communications, and the chair recognizes the chief clerk to please read the messages from the mayor and any other communications that he may have in his possession today.
From the mayor to the president and members of the council of the city of Philadelphia, I am pleased to advise you that on April 12, 2023, I signed the remaining bills which were passed by council at its session on March 23, 2023. And that on April 12, 2023, I signed all the bills which were passed by council at its session on March 30, 2023. And I am transmitting for the consideration of your honorable body a resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority deeds conveying fee simple title to certain city-owned lots or pieces of ground with the buildings and improvements thereon, situated in the 5th Councilmanic District, and a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 2032 East Boston Street, located in the 7th Councilmanic District, and a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 3418, 3420, and 3422 Kensington Avenue, located in the 7th Councilmanic District, and a resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority deeds conveying fee simple title to 1736 North 22nd Street in the 5th Councilmanic District, and a resolution recognizing the appointment of Albert W. Newman to the Veterans Advisory Commission, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Decker. And our next order of business is the introduction of bills and resolutions. And I would ask the clerk to please read the titles of the legislation that's being offered today by our members.
Councilman Phillips offers one bill and one resolution entitled An Ordinance Amending Section 9105 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Penalties and Chapter 94400 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Responsible Business Operations to further define nuisance businesses, provide for additional enforcement and penalties.
For the committee.
And a privileged resolution authorizing City Council to hold hearings to investigate Philadelphia's emergency management practices and the city's overall preparedness when facing credible threats to our drinking water. Mr. President, Councilman Phillips would like to be recognized.
Today's calendar. And chair recognizes Councilman Phillips.
Good morning, council, colleagues, and viewing members of the public. Today, I've introduced two pieces of legislation. The first will revamp how the city enforces nuisance business regulations. We wrote this bill in coordination with the Department of License and Inspections, the Police Department, and the Health Department, and the Department of Commerce, who all support this initiative. Among several things, this bill builds off of the regulatory structure originally established by Councilmember Cindy Bass, by holding business owners accountable for nuisance behavior regardless of whether the conduct took place during operating hours, because much of it occurs after hours, creating a reasonable threshold for being labeled a nuisance business, allowing both the police department and L&I to issue intent to cease operations notices, and increasing the current $300 fine for repeat nuisance violations to a $2,000 fine for repeat nuisance violations. I want to thank and acknowledge my predecessor and mentor, former Councilmember Sherelle Parker, for having started to work on this vital issue. When Sherelle Parker was in this chamber leading the fight to crack down on nuisance businesses, she thought about our neighbors. From day one, she has always been a champion of community issues, and I thank her for setting the standard for addressing nuisance businesses. I know personally the importance of cracking down on nuisance businesses. I get countless calls from neighbors about the proliferation of nuisance activities in our communities. It has to stop. It has to stop today. We have to get tough on the enforcement of nuisance business regulations to maintain the beautification of our communities, which is why I'm introducing this legislation, enabling the city departments to more quickly and efficiently shut down bad actor businesses that plague our neighborhoods. I look forward to seeing this bill through final passage. I also want to thank my colleagues, Councilwoman Cindy Bass, Councilwoman Lozada, Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson, who have all worked hard on this issue, and they are co-introducing this bill with me, so we are a collective and working on this together. And secondly, I've introduced a resolution addressing the recent threat to our water supply. As we all remember, the city's response to the chemical spill fostered confusion, panic, chaos, and tarnished public trust in the safety of our city's water supply. As such, a public hearing is necessary to investigate the administration's emergency management practices and the city's overall preparedness for threats to our water supply. Philadelphians must have confidence that the city's public officials are prepared to offer protection from environmental harm. I look forward to having hearings on this matter and engaging with the administration to ensure that this doesn't happen again. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson offers a privilege resolution recognizing and supporting the health and wellness of Black mamas and birthing people by acknowledging April 11 through 17, 2023 as Black Maternal Health Week in the city of Philadelphia.
Today's calendar.
Councilman Thomas offers two resolutions. A privilege resolution honoring and congratulating Champions of the Week, the students of Lankenau High School, for their valuable work studying the environmental impact of mussels and working to increase the mussel population in the Schuylkill River.
Chair recognizes Councilman Thomas.
Thank you, Council President. Good morning. First, I want to thank my colleague and co-introducer of this legislation, Councilmember Jones. Both of us, thanks to the good work of the teachers and students at Lankenau, have more work to do after them visiting today and letting us know other things they need to continue the good work. But we have a bunch of scientists that's here from Lankenau who have begun their journey early to try to explore some of the biggest problems that we have, not just as a city, but as an actually throughout the entire world, based on what they've been able to do to help clean water. Can we give, can the students and teachers who are here from Lankenau please stand up so we can recognize them? The teachers are Cynthia and Matthew, so thank you to their teachers. The young people, Javon, Alex Morris, and I'm gonna say Mrs. Davies, because I don't want to say the first name wrong. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for what you're doing as it relates to our water. These young scientists are putting themselves in a position to maximize their talent. And at the end of the day, one of the things that we've been screaming about in City Council and budget hearings specifically is valuing out-of-school time-based initiatives and making sure young people have things to do after school and in the summertime. And this is a great example of that. So can we give them another round of applause and thank these young people for the great work they're doing?
One more. Thank you.
And a privileged resolution recognizing and honoring the Philadelphia Children's Alliance and the Philadelphia Department of Human Services for their collaborative commitment to bring healing and justice to victims of child abuse in Philadelphia and declaring April 2023 to be Child Abuse Prevention Month in the city of Philadelphia.
Thank you. Chair again recognizes Councilman Thomas.
Thank you, Council President. You can see I'm a team player. This resolution was introduced with my colleague, Councilmember Lozada, who I just want to take a moment to say has been on point since she's coming to City Council as it relates to advocating for our children, and we've done a number of things together, and this is just another example. We have the leadership from the Philadelphia Children's Alliance here, and of course they're located in the 7th Councilmanic District in the city of Philadelphia, and it's an honor to declare April Child Abuse Prevention Month based on the work that they do to advocate, serve, and to help our children here in the city of Philadelphia. And we'll hear from them at some point throughout the course of our council session. But if the leadership of the Philadelphia Children's Alliance can please stand up so we can honor them and give them a round of applause as well, too. Our children spent 2 years in the house because of the pandemic, and we know that there are a number of issues facing young people currently right now, and the great work that they're doing helps put us in a position to prevent some of the problems that we see happening across the city of Philadelphia. So thank you, Council President, and of course thank you to all of my colleagues for supporting our children the way that we continue to do as a legislative body.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Lozada.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to say thank you to my colleague, Councilman Thomas, for recognizing this organization that is in the 7th Council District. And I appreciate all of the work that they do to keep young people safe, especially in a time like the one that we're living in today in our city. And so I'm grateful for all of the work, looking forward to continued partnerships and to the work that can be done to protect our young people.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman. Those will be on today's calendar.
Councilman Jones offers one bill and 6 resolutions. On behalf of Council President Clark, an ordinance establishing parking regulations on both sides of North Carlisle Street between West Girard Avenue and Poplar Street. And a non-privileged resolution recognizing the appointment of Albert W. Newman to the Veterans Advisory Commission. And a non-privileged resolution appointing Councilmember Mike Driscoll to the Philadelphia Gas Commission. And a non-privileged resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority deeds conveying fee simple title to 1736 North 22nd Street in the 5th Councilmanic District.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilman Jones. One more. Yeah.
And on his own behalf, Councilman Jones offers a non-privileged resolution calling on the Pennsylvania House of Representatives and the Pennsylvania State Senate to pass House Bill 776, prohibiting untraceable firearms, and HB 777, banning ghost gun parts.
Thank you. Chair now recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. I remember you and my colleague, Member Johnson, taking our day off, going up to Oaksville, and walking into a gun show. We walked in there and literally were overwhelmed by the number of tables, the number of firearms, the types of people that were buying them and possibly just walking to the parking lot and selling them. One of the booths actually had parts to ghost guns. And my colleague, chair of Special Committee on Gun Violence, has been a staunch opponent of those types of guns. What I believe is this legislation now makes the parts of an unassembled ghost gun have to be registered and adds another level of difficulty on people on our streets reaping mayhem with these untraceable guns. So I think, and want to thank our colleagues and partners at the state level for hearing us here in these chambers who have to deal with it on a day-to-day basis. So we want to thank them for pushing for this type of registration on the parts that create those ghost guns that create the havoc in our city. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Those resolutions will be on next week's calendar.
Councilman Jones also offers a non-privileged resolution also naming 60th Street between Market Street and Arch Street as E. Paul Sandage Way.
Next week's calendar.
And a privileged resolution authorizing the City Council Committee on Law and Government to hold public hearings examining the rate of judgments in small claims court.
This week's calendar.
Councilman Johnson offers two bills and two resolutions. Entitled an ordinance amending Section 2 of an ordinance, Bill Number 200578, approved January 20, 2021, entitled an ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades on a portion of City Plan Number 46S by striking from the City Plan and vacating Penrose Ferry Road from Penrose Avenue to its terminus northeastwardly therefrom.
Refer to committee.
And an ordinance establishing parking regulations in the vicinity of Camac Street and Johnston Street.
Refer to committee.
And a non-privileged resolution also naming the 2100 block of Federal Street, Claudia Smith, Sherrod Way.
Next week's calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution also naming the 1500 block of Wharton Street, James Matumia Way.
Next week's calendar.
Councilwoman Gaudier offers one bill and three resolutions. Entitled an ordinance establishing a no truck parking regulation in the vicinity of North 51st Street and Brown Street.
Refer to committee.
And a privileged resolution designating April 9, 2023, Paul Robeson Day to honor occasion of the 125th anniversary of the birth of actor, singer, lawyer, scholar, and activist Paul L. Robeson, Esquire.
This week's calendar.
And a privileged resolution honoring and congratulating Paul Robeson High School for human service student Alyssa Perrin on her historic admission to Harvard University and wishing her luck on future endeavors.
This week's calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Housing Authority a deed conveying fee simple title due 1 through 49 Rudy Robinson Way in the 3rd Councilmanic District.
Thank you. This week's calendar. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gaudier.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to take a moment of personal privilege to acknowledge my guest here today. First, we have the Paul Robeson House, who is here to celebrate Paul Robeson's 125th birthday. Can you please stand up and be recognized? We are also hosting Alyssa Perrin today and Principal Gordon of Paul Robeson High to celebrate Alyssa's historic acceptance into Harvard University. Please stand up. And finally, I'd like to welcome Dwayne Drummond of the Philadelphia School District and also a community leader in Mantua. And he is here with the Philadelphia School District Head Start Policy Council, who are here to see how our council works. Can you all stand up and be recognized? So I'm very honored to have so many wonderful folks from West Philly here today. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilman Phillips.
I just want to quickly say that I am, as a former educator, also a college access director, I'm very proud of the work that Paul Robeson has been doing at the high school, particularly Principal Gordon. Every time I meet a student for Paul Robeson, when I work with young people, they always talk about how Principal Gordon is the man. And so I want to say thank you for all the work that you've done. And also, young lady, go to Harvard, do well, and make a difference there. And looking forward to your success and hearing how you can come back to Philadelphia and make a contribution to your community. So thanks a lot. Riley Jones is back there, a good friend of mine. Shout out to the Paul Robeson House for all the work that they're doing. We need to continue to support them. And I also want to thank our Councilwoman Jamie Gauthier for making this acknowledgement. It's really important that we do those things. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman Driscoll offers an ordinance to approve a major amendment to the Holy Family University Master Plan related to the Welcome Center and an athletic field structure in the area bounded by Grant Avenue, Frankfurt Avenue, Carteret Drive, St. Denis Drive Extended, the Pocassin Creek, and the Delaware Expressway.
For the committee.
And an ordinance establishing parking restrictions for certain commercial vehicles in the vicinity of Erdrich Street from Princeton Avenue to Tyson Avenue.
For to committee.
Councilman Squilla offers two resolutions. A privileged resolution recognizing Bob Smith for his standout career as a vital link between Comcast, NBC Universal, and the Philadelphia nonprofit community.
This week's calendar.
And a privilege resolution proclaiming May 9, 2023 as Kiyoshi Kuromiya Day in Philadelphia for his contribution to the civil rights and struggles of African Americans, the LGBTQ community, and those affected by HIV and AIDS.
This week's calendar.
There are no other bills or resolutions being offered today by the members, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Decker. And our next order of business is reports from committee, and the chair recognizes Councilman Jones for a report from the Committee on Appropriations.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee on Appropriations offers one bill with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. Decker, please read that report.
To the President and members of the Council of the City of Philadelphia, the Committee on Appropriations, to which is referred Bill number 230150, entitled an ordinance authorizing transfers and appropriations for fiscal year 2023 from the General Fund, certain all city offices, departments, boards, and commissions, and the Grants Revenue Fund, certain all city offices, departments, boards, and commissions, to the General Fund, certain all city offices, departments, boards, and commissions, the Hotel Room Rental Tax Fund, certain all city offices, departments, boards, and commissions, and the Grants Revenue Fund, certain all city offices, departments, boards, and commissions. Respectfully reports that it has considered and amended the same and returns the attached bill to council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Bill number 230150 will be placed on our first reading calendar at our next session of council. And that concludes our reports from committee, and our next order of business is consideration of the calendar. There are no bills on the first reading calendar, so the chair recognizes Councilman Jones for the purpose of calling up resolutions and bills on the second reading and final passage calendar today.
Thank you again, Mr. President. The following resolutions and bills are being called up from second reading and final passage calendars today. Numbers 230-254, 230-255, 230-034A, 230-009A, 230-007, and 230-107. All other bills and resolutions are being held.
Thank you very much, Councilman. So before we consider these resolutions and bills, we will have our public comment session. Your public comment must concern matters on the second reading and final passage calendar for possible action at today's session. All speakers must sign up in order to testify. If you have not already signed up, you may do so now at the Sergeant Arms table outside of the council chambers. Once you have signed up, you'll be called in the order in which your name appears on the sign-up sheet. Today, we have significant number, but we're going to do 3 minutes today. You will have 3 minutes to testify, but from time to time, that time may vary based on the volume of individuals that are speaking, because we can ensure that everybody has an opportunity to speak in a timely way. When you begin speaking, you'll see a green light on the podium. When there are 30 seconds remaining on that device, you will start concluding your remarks. When the light turns red, we'd ask that you please adhere to our guidelines and conclude your remarks. I want to thank you very much. And Mr. Decker, can you call the first name on the list?
Queen Judith Robinson, commenting on 22-1015 and 22-0665.
Hold on, Mr. Decker. Councilwoman, is your mic now?
Thank you, Council President. I was seeking acknowledgement, but today I wanted to recognize the presence of young people who I met last year here at City Hall from Fridays for the Future Philadelphia. They are organizing around climate. Aaron Young, Noah Four, and Clara Hensley, and I just wanted to welcome them before public comment. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you. Mr. Decker, please proceed.
The first speaker today is Queen Judith Robinson, commenting on 221015 and 220865.
Thank you. Not here? Next name.
The next speaker is Janice Sykes Ross, commenting on 230290.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Janice Sykes Ross, and I am proud to serve as the Executive Director of the West Philadelphia Culture Alliance, which operates and manages the Paul Robeson House and Museum. From April the 8th to April the 15th, and across 3 major cities in the United States, In Philadelphia and Harlem, New York, and in Princeton, New Jersey, we have collaborated to celebrate the 125th birthday of Paul Leroy Robeson. Robeson was not just an actor and a singer. He was a civil rights activist long before we even heard about civil rights and long before it was safe to be an activist. We are grateful that Philadelphia City Council is recognizing him today by creating a day in honor of this great Renaissance man. We hope that our federal officials will follow suit. You know, Philadelphia is always the first, and create a national holiday for Mr. Robeson because he is more than deserving of this honor. We invite members of council to join us tomorrow for the street renaming. And thank you so much for passing that resolution. Outside of the Paul Robeson House and Museum at 50th and Walnut, as well as a reception and panel discussion at the historic Belmont Mansion on Friday evening. Following a gala at the Annenberg Center on Saturday, April the 15th, which is our closing gala. Ms. Michael's sentiments, well, Ms. Michael was supposed to go first, but she's going to say that we thank you heartfully for and appreciate Councilwoman Gautier and all members of City Council who are supporting this resolution. We're thanking you in advance.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is Vernoka Michael, commenting on 230-290.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Vernoka Michael, past Executive Director of the West Philadelphia Cultural Alliance. It's a pleasure to be here today as we recognize the legacy of the great Paul L. Robeson, Esquire, a man that I grew up with and I called Uncle Paul, a man who was an actor, singer, etc. The Michael and Robeson families were an extended family, but shared a bond that has never been broken. Paul's brother and my father were called the twins in the family. So it was great to have an opportunity to live across the street from Aunt Marion and Uncle Paul. My job while attending Penn was to be his niece, who spent intimate times with him, who drove him around and sometimes just sat there and talked about life's lessons. My mother, Elizabeth Michael, a former concert artist, sang with him. And my father, the Reverend Dr. E. Rayfield Michael, was his brother and special confidant. Little did I know nearly 50 years ago, that I would have an opportunity to be the executive director of the Paul Robeson House following its founder and first executive, Frances P. Austin. One of her great attributes was looking toward the future. And so today we thank City Council that we have waited 7 years today for this event. Thank you for recognizing my Uncle Paul for the great man that he was in this world and the legacy he left behind, naming April 9th Paul Robeson Day for the world to know that Philadelphia, Pennsylvania loved him. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is Riley Jones, commenting on 230-290.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Riley Jones IV. As a young African-American attorney who travels across the country for work, it's my honor to volunteer my time and talent here as a board member of the West Philadelphia Cultural Alliance, which has the awesome responsibility of overseeing the Paul Robeson House and Museum, which at one point was the home of Paul and his sister. We recently received a $1 million grant from the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation in support of Paul's 125th birthday. Yes, please. And the West Philadelphia Cultural Alliance was established in 1984 to stimulate community participation in the arts by cultivating an interest and an understanding of and an appreciation for the arts in the greater Philadelphia region. It grew out of a City of Philadelphia initiative to assess the cultural needs of neighborhoods and was led by our founder, Francis P. Alston. It's important that we not only preserve the cultural arts in our city, but that we also take time to recognize our city's rich history and the many men and women who have contributed to it. Paul Robeson was and remains a giant figure in American and international history for the many contributions and sacrifices he made to help others. He used his voice not only to act and to sing, but to serve as a tireless activist for civil and equal rights, something we're still fighting for today. And so on behalf of the Board of Directors of WPCA, we would like to thank Councilman Gaultier for inviting us, and a special hello to my good friend, Councilmember Phillips, for having us here today in support of the resolution to rename Paul Robeson Way. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is Adam Nagel.
Morning.
Good morning, Council President. My name is Adam Nagel. I'm here today to speak on the resolution introduced by Councilmember Phillips. I am the campaign manager for Penn Future in the city of Philadelphia, and I am here today to provide remarks in support of that resolution. Penn Future is a statewide environmental advocacy nonprofit. We are leading the transition to a clean energy economy in Pennsylvania and beyond. We are protecting our air, water, and land and empowering citizens to build sustainable communities for future generations. Philadelphia's drinking water supply faced a credible threat on the night of March 24th, 2023. More than 8,000 gallons of toxic chemicals were spilled into Otter Creek, which endangered the drinking water provided to Philadelphia by the Delaware River. This was not the first time that this chemical plant had contaminated the land or water around which it operates, but this incident represented the gravest threat to one of our most precious natural resources and the residents of Philadelphia. Based on reporting surrounding the incident and the immediate aftermath, it appears that the systems put in place to handle these emergencies worked as they should. Notification was provided to the proper authorities and to impacted water utility systems so that all parties could begin to assess and manage the danger presented by the toxic chemical spill. We know that staff at the Philadelphia Water Department worked quickly to do just that. However, as we all know from our experience in the days that followed, and as the resolution makes clear, residents were ultimately failed by members at the highest level of city government and were not adequately prepared for this credible threat due to delayed notice, confusing directives, and a failure to communicate properly or at all with Philadelphians who speak languages other than English. Philadelphia City Council must take this necessary action so that we can learn from this episode and better prepare ourselves for a future potential threat. A hearing is necessary so that the public can be provided with a detailed timeline of events, establishing the actions taken and the decisions made by the administration from the time it was notified of the toxic spill to the public briefing that took place on March 26th. A hearing is necessary so that the public can learn why most of us, if not all of us, were not aware of the threat to our drinking water until only hours before the administration advised that we might want to consider switching to bottled water. A hearing is necessary so that the public can learn what progress has been made to ensure that all of us receive timely information that may impact our health and safety, regardless of the language that we speak. Most importantly, a hearing is necessary to begin to reverse the latest damage done to public confidence in our water supply. It is an unfortunate reality that many Philadelphians do not drink their tap water, and many have not done so for years. Despite the tireless work of the Philadelphia Water Department, academic institutions, nonprofit organizations, and community members, too many of us still do not trust that the water we are drinking is clean. The administration's response to the toxic chemical spill made it that much more difficult for residents to trust their tap water and undid the work that has been done through initiatives like Drink Philly Tap. I urge the adoption of the resolution and that City Council move with all possible speed to assign a committee to the important task of holding a hearing on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is Grand Worthy Matron Paulette Viescu.
Good morning. My name is
morning.
Dr. Stanley J. Jones, Jr., And I am the 53rd Grand Worthy Patron of Deborah Grand Chapter, Order of Eastern Star Incorporated, Prince Hall adopted for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And it is now my due diligence and so my honor and pleasure to present this psalm and introduce the other, the 53rd Grand Worthy Matron of Deborah Grand Chapter, Order of the Eastern Star Incorporated, Prince Hall adopted for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Sister Paulette Virginia Askew. All members, please rise.
Thank you. You may be seated. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Good morning. Everybody can be great because anybody can serve. Good morning, City Council, members, and guests. My name is Paulette V. Askew, number 39, and I bring you greetings as the 53rd Grand Worthy Matron of Deborah Grand Chapter, Order Eastern Star Incorporated, Prince Hall adopted, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, where our theme for this administration is hugs, help us grow stronger. And my motto is wisdom is the proper use of knowledge. It is truly an honor and a privilege to be here with you all this morning. Thank you, special thanks to Sister Alice Harris. We are here to present certificates of appreciation to the City Council women of Philadelphia. I will read the first certificate with the name. Hold on. But all the certificates says the same thing, but the first one will be given to Certificate of Appreciation presented to Jamie Gardier, District 3, in appreciation of your untiring efforts regarding the City of Philadelphia. Your commitment to excellence deserves to be recognized and celebrated. May God continue to bless you as you continue to support its endeavors. Paulette V. Askew, number 39, Grand Worthy Matron, and Dr. Stanley J. Jones, Jr., Grand Worthy Patron. This is her certificate. All right, where's the... Just call the names out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
The next speaker is Richard Gordon.
Morning.
Good morning, City Council. Thank you for having me. I am Richard Gordon. I'm the proud principal of Paul Robeson High School. I am Philadelphia's first and only state and national principal of the year. I have been named National Principal of the Year by 3 different organizations, so that's 3 times, because I've had the pleasure for the last 10 years to have been the principal of some amazing students. And so I'm here to just say thank you. Over the course of 10 years, I've had the opportunity to work with a population that's 100% minority, 95% African American, 85% living below the poverty line, and yet we still are one of the top, if not the top, academic growth schools in the entire city of Philadelphia. We do see ourselves as one of the best. And today, we've had the pleasure of having a resolution submitted by Jamie Gauthier, thank you so much, to honor one of our amazing students who is going to Harvard University, Alyssa Perrin. And so Alyssa's always nervous. Alyssa, stand up, come on. So Alyssa Perrin has always been an amazing student, has been on honor roll ever since the day she walked in the door of Paul Robeson High School. But more than that, she represents the amazing work that's happening at Paul Robeson High School, because she's sitting with her friends, and every single person that's sitting over there is going to a 4-year college, and many of which on scholarship. Every year we get the opportunity to celebrate a 95% graduation rate, because our students are dedicated to their education. And so this process for me started just 10 years ago, again, back when, even when I was at a previous school, when the council president supported me at a previous school. And we went through the hardship of watching a school close. And then now, even after all those years, to be here sitting in front of you at a school that should not be existing at this point because it was about to close, and to have amazing students dedicate themselves to turn it around to be one of the best in the city and to have a national profile, the only thing I can do here today is say thank you to this body for always, over the course of the last 10 years, celebrating us, which is evident not just by our presence here today, but by the 9 citations and 2 resolutions that you guys have bestowed on our school over the course of the last 10 years. So on behalf of the families, the students, and the staff members at Paul Robeson High School, I say thank you to this entire body. I say special thanks to Jamie Gauthier for this amazing honor, and thank you for honoring my students, because they are certainly some of the most hardworking students in the city of Philadelphia. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is Lynn Landis, commenting on 210913.
Morning.
Good morning. My name is Lynn Landis of healthalertphilly.org. I support Resolution 210913. However, as the city continues to require COVID vaccines of city employees and other groups, why hasn't City Council at least conducted public hearings into the public health impact of COVID vaccines? In Florida, the Supreme Court has authorized a grand jury to investigate COVID vaccine manufacturers and other involved organizations. Meanwhile, Pennsylvania and other states have proposed legislation to place defibrillators in every school. Perhaps that's because an increased incidence of sudden cardiac arrest among teens. Myocarditis and pericarditis, along with other dangerous and deadly reactions, are listed in the FDA-required COVID vaccine package inserts. The CDC does its best to downplay the devastating health effects of COVID vaccination, but some statistics are hard to hide. The Society of Actuaries released its excess death numbers for December 2022. They found a stunning 43% increase in excess deaths for those under age 45. The Vaccine Damage Project has conservatively estimated that due to the COVID vaccine rollout in 2021, at least 26.6 million individuals between the ages of 16 and 64 have been injured. 1.36 million individuals became severely disabled, and 310,000 excess deaths have occurred. And although COVID vaccines are particularly dangerous, they are similar to all FDA-approved vaccines in that they have not been tested for their potential to 1, cause cancer, 2, damage DNA, or 3, impair fertility, as admitted in Section 13 of every vaccine package insert. In my hand, I have a 27-page insert that you can download off FDA.
Ms. Landers, we're not going to do that today. Come on.
Excuse me, are you telling me not to?
Ms. Landers, you sign up to testify about a bill, and you come in with this every week.
No, I do not come in. Last week I was talking about the health emergency.
You rescind a letter and request a hearing on COVID-19. That's not what you signed up for.
Okay,
please.
So you're stopping me from talking about
this. Send a letter and ask for a hearing on COVID-19, okay?
And informed, can I finish up? And informed.
No, if you want to talk about the bill that you signed up for, please do so. But you keep testing us.
I'm asking for public hearings.
We're not talking about COVID. If you want to talk about COVID-19, send a letter and ask for a request or a hearing about COVID-19. But don't sign up for another bill and not testify on that bill.
This is a public forum.
No, this is a hearing about a bill that's on the calendar today. That's not on the calendar today, okay?
This is a
It's
violation
like every
of the
week we have to
Sunshine
go through this with you. Thank you.
The next speaker is Benita Williams.
Good morning.
Good morning, Council President, Council. My name is Benita Williams, and I am the Executive Director of the Philadelphia Children's Alliance. We're here today to thank Councilman Isaiah Thomas and Councilwoman Lozada for introducing the resolution for PCA. PCA is located in the Frankfurt section of Philadelphia and is the only child advocacy center located in the city. We are uniquely co-located with the Special Victims Unit of the Philadelphia Police Department, as well as the Special Investigations Unit of DHS. We also have a medical clinic on site where children can be examined who have been impacted by child sexual abuse. The clinic is manned by CHOP in St. Chris, and we could not do this work without our partners there. Last year, we served over 2,000 children in the city of Philadelphia who have been impacted by child sexual abuse and severe physical abuse. We provide forensic interviewing services, victim support services, therapy, and medical examinations on site. We are a one-stop shop for children so they do not have to be re-traumatized over and over again by multiple interviews by multiple professionals. April is Child Abuse Prevention Month. We must work together as a community to bring awareness to child abuse and child sexual abuse. These children do not ask to come here, and so it is our duty as a community to protect them. Again, thank you for this resolution and City Council for all that you do to support PCA. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is Mama Gail Clouden, commenting on 221015.
I'd rather keep it out. I am.
Good morning.
Thank you. I got it. Thank you. Good day, everybody. Peace and love. I awakened a few days ago. I was out of town, and I awakened after getting messages 4 o'clock in the morning. Those messages were for you all that are here in City Council. I had time to cry and release. Some of you have taken these seats not knowing just how corrupt things are and were in this holy city called Philadelphia. In 2015, the United Nations declared that it was the decade of the descendants of those people, us, our ancestors that had been brought across the Atlantic Ocean, the slave trade, us, the descendants. All over the world, after that announcement was made that it was our decade, it seemed that incredible fear came across the globe. How would we get our reparations was what I felt was going on. Then in Philadelphia, one of my friends, mentor and good friend, Master Hideo Izumoto, said to me, there's the micro and the macro. And I realized every time I was at the UN and came home to Philadelphia, this was the micro, that was the macro. And there were meetings here in Philadelphia about the 2035 plan that I sat in, where citizens were summoned to be manipulated and ask questions about their needs for their community, how they could be better, while never being told that those questions being asked were for the replacement neighbors. The people have a right to know that the city of Philadelphia is an old city that sits on a lot of water. They have a right to know that there isn't the kind of infrastructure needed for the greed that's being heaped on it by those of you and them, the greedy developers and others. I'm asking you, city council people, to come out of your fear. Come out with courage and do the right thing for the people of Philadelphia, the families that have given the most and have the least. Generations have suffered enough after building this city, this country. Enough is enough. The bill has been changed several times, and I didn't even look at it this time. The thought of a 10-year abatement being given to developers that don't need it. While each time we hear about these different situations where something's going to be given to the little people, it's only a trickling effect. And I just want to say to you, our communities deserve more. From the ancestors to today, our communities deserve better. And I'm asking you to please step up, encourage. I've heard people say the unions, the unions, the unions. Let me say something to you. On this day, Thursday, April the 13th, 2023, the day of our Lord, I stand here, I decree, I claim, and I declare enough is enough. Our people deserve better, and you all have the ability to make that so. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is Horace Clouden, commenting on 221015.
Yes, my name is.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Horace Clouden. You know, we talk about tax abatements for the next 10 years. For the next 10 years, I will be paying a minimum of $30,000, you know, making my property not affordable. Is this an ordinance that would take tax dollars away from the school district? Well, the last time the school district gave a tax abatement, it was for $13 million, you know, and now they're asking city council for an additional $318 million. Stop with these tax abatements. Make everybody pay their fair share. I'm sure the developers are getting a break on the land and will be making money at the same time. Again, my taxes have been increased over 100%, and I'm waiting for the opinion of one person if it should remain the same. Stop believing that the school district is underfunded by how they are spending the money. There is a fair funding formula within the school district who chooses to educate a select group. And I'd like to end with this. Paul Robeson was here. Paul Robeson High School might not have been here if it wasn't for the Clouden family back in 2012, 2013, because we testified at every school board meeting to keep Paul Robeson open, plus we gave the data to support why they should keep it open, and guess what? They kept it open because of the Clouden family. That's what we do. We are for all the children, and here again, we have an issue on the table dealing with these pools. The district wants to open one pool, but we say they can open all 5 pools, but yet they don't invite the community to the table. So thank you for listening to me.
Thank you for your testimony, sir.
The next speaker is Leah Clouden, commenting on 221015.
Morning.
Good morning. I'm Leah Clouden. So as I move about the city in frustration, you know, just looking at everything, and this abatement, to not allow these companies not to pay their fair share, You have taxed the property owners over 100% in West Philadelphia. I don't even know if it's all over the city. But it seems that West Philadelphia is designated for something, but it is not the residents of West Philadelphia. I watched these buildings go up on lands that once housed like 2-story buildings, maybe 3-story, and now we see that they're building twice as high as the property that used to stand on that lot. We see that they're building into the backyards. So even if you allow these companies to give 10% of their property or their units as low-income homes, is insane because they're making more than 100% just because they build everything, doubled. Also, with the infrastructure, you talk about the pipes are over 100 years, but you're trying to tax the people, or not to tax them, but charge the people to replace these pipes. But you have these companies that come in that also build, that's going to put much, much more stress on pipes, on electricity, everything. Not only that, they bring their vehicles. So now we have to deal with pollution. You talk about solar power, and then with their buildings that are going up much higher than the 2-story homes that are on that block, now you're blocking the sun. Now you're changing our skylight. This has to stop. If they're going to build, charge them. No abatement. Charge them, just like you're charging the residents. Either that or you're aggressively trying to replace the residents. A replacement society. It has to stop. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is Ogbonna Higgins, commenting on 230-255.
Morning.
Great morning, everyone. I'd like to thank Councilwoman Vaughn for this particular resolution calling for the United States Congress to pass the Sergeant Isaac Woodard Jr. and Sergeant Joseph A. Maddox GI Bill Resolution Act. According to scholars, 28% of white veterans went to college on the GI Bill, while only 12% of Afro-Americans went on the GI Bill. This bill that is before our Congress is something that is definitely well overdue. If it were me in one of these council seats, however, I would deal with reparations and the discriminatory practices of this city. There's a lot of crime and there's a lot of violence, primarily in the Afro-American community. And from where I'm sitting, it's as a result of poverty. And that poverty came from no generational wealth for the Afro-American. So yes, let's deal with Congress and let's agree and pass a resolution on that. But let's do something right here in the city of Philadelphia for the Afro-American. There is an Office of Immigrant Affairs in City Hall here. There's an Office of LGBTQ Affairs. Where is the Office of Afro-American Affairs? We need an office to deal with the many problems in this city of Philadelphia. If it were me in one of these seats as a council person, that would be one of the first things that I would address, because you're playing games when you're creating all of these nonprofit organizations, or all these nonprofit organizations are being funded, and we're not dealing with to stop violence. These organizations were funded who are dealing with violence, but we're not dealing with the major culprit of violence and crime in our city, and that is poverty. So I'm calling for, like I said, I thank Councilwoman Vaughn for the resolution, but we need to deal with the main issue in this city, which is poverty, primarily amongst the Afro-Americans. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is Mike Africa Jr., comment.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Mike Africa Jr. Thank you for having me. So, I'm sure a lot of you have heard about my family. I come from a very complicated family with a very complicated history called the MOVE organization. Right now, for some reason, people have kind of deemed me in the leadership position of the organization. For some reason, I don't know why. But I do know that it is important for us to reclaim, restore, and reimagine our history the same way it's important to do that in our communities. And myself, I have taken on the responsibility of trying to make that happen. 2 years ago, Jamie Gauthier, Councilwoman Jamie Gauthier, thank you, for working to pass the resolution to make May 13th a historic day, a day of remembrance in the city of Philadelphia for the bomb that was dropped in 1985. We have been working with the Paul Robeson House to archive our history so that the story can be told. The really important part about this is to restore, but it is also to reimagine. I think activism is like parenting. If we could start over again and do it over from when our babies were babies with the knowledge that we have now, we would, so that we can develop them better than we did. We all make mistakes, but it's very important to learn from those mistakes so that we can bring about a new life that brings about change and better products. So that's what my work is, and I'm so proud that I partnered with the Paul Robeson House to do that, and we're working on creating the MOVE archive so that we can tell this story, the truth of it, warts and all, so that we can make a better change in this society. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is Queen Judith Robinson, commenting on 221015 and 220865.
Good morning. Judith Robinson, Queen Judith Robinson here, regarding 220865 and 221015. As I'm watching what's going on, the implementation of what you all vote on, I'm seeing a lot of land movement, claiming to support affordable housing. However, affordable housing is really relative. Affordable to who? PHA, Philadelphia Housing Authority, is our national organization that gets funding directly from federal government that's not being managed to provide the income-based housing. Income-based housing is based on income of each individual, and that's how we build shelter for those who have the least among us, okay? We have been allowing PHA to do eminent domain, taking homeowners' property, unprecedented. But I digress. What I want to focus on is how we can use PHA to provide basic income-based housing. If we do not do that, we are just rolling along in the name of claiming affordability. As we talk about the budget, we're in the process of budget hearings. I want to make certain that we prioritize our youth and that we provide programming in every building, PHA centers, every rec center, every POW center. This is the time to focus your attention on putting the funding where the problem is. We want prevention. Prevention is what we're seeking, and we want to make certain that every program is showing documentable results. documentable. Money shouldn't be, we could just hold the money in escrow until we find out the right things. There's a book I want you all to get because I'm coming back to talk about. Murder is No Accident, Dr. Deborah Stitz. Please get that book, and I'll tell you why I'm demanding that. I'm asking that you repeal some bills. The driving equality bill needs to be repealed until further notice. In addition, that wholesaling bill, 200544, must be rescinded. It's a license to steal. MV Realty knew about that, and I'm going to come back at you all with that because every one of you all knew about MV Realty for at least 2 years. I want to know why you didn't do, and there still has not been a buyer be aware campaign as of yet. There's a lot that you need to focus on, but I thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the time.
Thank you for your testimony.
There are no other speakers, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, and thank all of you who have come in to testify on behalf of the citizens of the City of Philadelphia. We now consider the bills and resolutions on the second reading and final passage calendar today. I would ask the clerk to please read the title of resolution number 230254.
A resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 2410 and 2412 North Oriana Street, located in the 7th Councilmanic District.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Lozada.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and resolution is adopted. Mr. Decker, please read the title of resolution number 230255.
A resolution calling upon the United States Congress to pass the Sergeant Isaac Woodward Jr. and Sergeant Joseph A. Maddox GI Bill Restoration Act.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Vaughn.
Thank you, Council President. Before I move for the adoption of this resolution, I'd like to say a few remarks. As Americans, we have always taken great pride in our armed forces. We show such admiration for our servicemen members for their remarkable strength and bravery, especially when, in many cases, it has meant having to make the ultimate sacrifice. Such high regard for these heroes was the basis for the passage of the Servicemen's Readjustment Act of 1944, also known as the GI Bill. It was presumed that such legislation enacted in the post-World War II era would convey the depth of our collective gratitude as a nation, giving all our men and women in uniform a well-deserved shot at building generational wealth and their own American dream. How wrong were we? The benefits of the GI Bill, which included educational assistance and low-cost mortgages, extended to everyone who was not a person of color. That is why I applaud Congressman Jim Clyburn and Seth Moulton for their leadership in reintroducing the Sergeant Isaac Woodward Jr. and Sergeant Joseph A. Maddox GI Bill Restoration Act and urge Congress to pass it. This measure symbolizes good faith effort to the right a generational wrong. The decades-long denial of Black World War II veterans and their descendants the GI benefits that are rightfully owed, and a recommitment to honor a promise made nearly 80 years ago of an equal chance at a dream deferred for many for far too long. With that, I move for the motion to pass this resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted. Mr. Decker, please read the title, Bill number 230034A.
An ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Haverford Avenue, 44th Street, Belmont Avenue, Girard Avenue, and 40th Street.
Thank you. This bill having been read on 2 different days, the question now, shall the bill pass finally? Chief Clerk will please call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass.
Aye.
Councilman Driscoll. Councilwoman Gauthier. Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson. Councilman Harity. Councilman Johnson. Councilman Jones. Councilwoman Lozada.
Aye.
Councilman O'Neill.
Aye.
Councilman Phillips.
Aye.
Councilman Squilla.
Aye.
Councilman Thomas.
Aye.
Councilwoman Vaughn.
Aye.
Council President Clark.
Aye. Ayes are 14, the nays are 0. Majority of all members present voting in the affirmative, the bill passes. Mr. Decker, 230009A.
An ordinance amending Chapter 12, 2800 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Administrative Adjudication of Parking Violations by further providing with respect to monetary penalties for on-street parking of semi-trailers and truck tractors.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilman O'Neill for an amendment.
Mr. President, I would like to offer an amendment to Bill number 230009A. A copy of the amendment has been circulated to all members of council, and I move for the adoption of the amendment.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. And Bill number 230009A has been amended. Bill number 230009A, as amended, will be placed on our final passage calendar at our next session of council. Mr. Decker, 230007.
An ordinance amending Section 14513 of the Philadelphia Code entitled TOD, Transit Oriented Development Overlay District, and amending Section 14533 of the Philadelphia Code entitled MIN, Mixed Income Neighborhoods Overlay District, to expand the applicable areas of each district in the vicinity of Market Street between 54th Street and 63rd Street.
Thank you. This bill having been read on 2 different days, the question now, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass.
Aye.
Councilman Driscoll.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gauthier.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Aye.
Councilman Harity. Councilman Johnson. Councilman Jones.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lozada.
Aye.
Councilman O'Neill.
Aye.
Councilman Phillips.
Aye.
Councilman Squilla. Councilman Thomas. Councilwoman Vaughn.
Aye.
Council President Clark.
Aye. Ayes are 14 and nays are 0. Majority of all members present voting in the affirmative, the bill passes. Mr. Decker, 230107.
An ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by 63rd Street, Callowhill Street, Felton Street, and Vine Street.
This bill having been read on 2 different days, the question now, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass.
Aye.
Councilman Driscoll. Councilwoman Gauthier. Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Aye.
Councilman Harity. Councilman Johnson. Councilman Jones. Councilwoman Lozada.
Aye.
Councilman O'Neill. Councilman Phillips. Councilman Squilla. Councilman Thomas. Councilwoman Vaughn.
Aye.
Council President Clark.
Aye. Ayes are 14 and nays are 0. Majority of all members present voting in the affirmative, the bill passed. Mr. Decker, do you have any additional resolution?
A resolution authorizing city council to hold hearings to investigate Philadelphia's emergency management practices and the city's overall preparedness when facing credible threats to our drinking water, introduced today by Councilman Phillips.
Chair recognizes Councilman Phillips.
Thank you, Council President. I move to adopt the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing and supporting the health and wellness of Black mamas and birthing people by acknowledging April 11 through 17, 2023 as Black Maternal Health Week in the city of Philadelphia, introduced today by Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring and congratulating the champions of the week, the students of Lankenau High School, for their valuable work studying the environmental impact of mussels and working to increase the mussel population in the Schuylkill River, introduced today by Councilman Thomas.
Chair recognizes Councilman Thomas.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing and honoring the Philadelphia Children's Alliance and the Philadelphia Department of Human Services for their collaborative commitment to bring healing and justice to victims of child abuse in Philadelphia, and declaring April 2023 to be Child Abuse Prevention Month in the city of Philadelphia, introduced today by Councilman Thomas.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Thomas.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution authorizing the City Council Committee on Law and Government to hold public hearings examining the rate of judgments in small claims court, introduced today by Councilman Jones.
Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for its adoption.
Can I get a second? Second. It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution designating April 9, 2023, Paul Robeson Day, to honor occasion of the 125th anniversary of the birth of actor, singer, lawyer, scholar, and activist Paul L. Robeson Esquire, introduced today by Councilwoman Gauthier.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gauthier.
Thank you, Council President. Before I move for the adoption of the resolution, I'd like to take a few moments to speak on the record about the significance of Paul Robeson Day. A few weeks ago, we renamed the 4900 block of Walnut Street after Paul Robeson, which we will officially unveil tomorrow morning. And today we are about to declare April 9th, which was Paul Robeson's 125th birthday, Paul Robeson Day here in Philadelphia. Paul Robeson was truly a Renaissance man. He reached the highest level of success as an actor, singer, athlete, lawyer, author, scholar, and linguist, during a time when Black people were rarely allowed to take up space in even one of those roles. But 125 years after Paul Robeson's birth, one would still struggle to find someone else who could do so many things so well at the same time. But what inspires me most about Paul Robeson is his activism. Even though he had achieved a level of fame and success that would have allowed him to escape many of the troubles plaguing society during his lifetime, Paul Robeson became one of the most devoted fighters for justice at home and abroad. And he did this during a time when racists regularly lynched people who looked like him for speaking out against injustices. Nothing could stop Paul Robeson from using his platform for good. When the Congressional Un-American Activities Committee branded him a communist sympathizer, slandered his reputation, stripped him of his passport, and banned his work from public consumption, Paul Robeson never stopped using his famous baritone voice as a tool for equity. Many in the past and present tried to erase the contributions of Black and brown activists, scared of anything that reminds them that America has many times failed to live up to its status as a land of the free. Through today's resolution, we push back on this and correct the record by officially recognizing the achievements and legacy of this American hero. I acknowledge this resolution is long overdue, but I am humbled to have the honor of introducing it. I draw on Paul Robeson's unbreakable commitment to justice as a source of strength and personal inspiration, as I know many residents across our city do as well. I am grateful to all the supporters of Paul Robeson, most especially Vernica Michael, Janice Sykes-Ross, Margaret Livingston, Dawn Chavou, Mike Africa Jr., and the entire team at the Paul Robeson House and Museum who steward his legacy and who are here with us today. Thank you so much for everything you do to keep this legacy alive in our city. Yeah. And as you heard, the Paul Robeson House has a full weekend of events commemorating his 125th birthday, and I hope that I will see some of you there. And with that, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring and congratulating Paul Robeson High School for Human Services student Alyssa Perrin on her historic admission to Harvard University and wishing her luck on future endeavors. Introduced today by Councilwoman Gauthier.
Chair again recognizes Councilwoman Gauthier.
Thank you. I'd like to speak on this resolution too, and the extraordinary young woman who we are honoring here today. I am so proud of Alyssa Perrin. By enrolling in Harvard University, she has shattered the glass ceiling and become the first student at Paul Robeson High School for Human Services to attend an Ivy League institution. And this moment is particularly heartwarming for me because my mother, Judy Williams, who is a school nurse, attended Bartram School for Human Services, the predecessor to Robeson. And I also can think of no better day than this one to honor Alyssa because today we're also honoring her high school's namesake, Paul Robeson. And Paul Robeson is certainly smiling down on Alyssa because just like him, she is a true Renaissance person and uses her talents to uplift underserved groups. Not only does Alyssa excel academically, but she is also a mighty force on the polo field as well. And she plans to combine her love for science and animals by becoming a veterinarian, giving underserved communities the pet care they need. Thanks to Alyssa, generations of young West Philadelphians will know that if they work hard, they can reach the nation's most prestigious higher education institutions. Alyssa, while adjusting to life at Harvard may prove challenging, it's certainly nothing like West Philadelphia over there in Cambridge, but we know that you are going to thrive. And never forget that I am rooting for you, as is the entire City Council and your friends, family, teachers, and neighbors. We cannot wait to see what you accomplish. I also want to acknowledge the team at Paul Robeson High School for providing Alyssa and all of your students with a loving, nurturing, and safe learning environment. And I need to take a moment to explicitly acknowledge Principal Richard Gordon. When Principal Gordon took over Paul Robeson in 2012, it was slated for permanent closure. His leadership and his refusal to give up on this school of 100% students of color, the majority of whom live in poverty, is the reason that we are able to gather here today in celebration. Just over a decade into Principal Gordon's tenure, Paul Robeson High School has a 95% graduation rate compared to a 70% graduation rate citywide. And in 2019, Principal Gordon and the school became recognized by the Commonwealth as a high progress school and removed from the list of low performing schools in the city. He is the first state and national principal of the year in the history of the School District of Philadelphia, and we all owe a great debt to Principal Gordon. He is a true Philadelphia hero. And to Alyssa, her family, Principal Gordon, and all the young people that we saw today from Robeson High School, we congratulate you, and we are so, so proud of you. I look forward to seeing more young West Philadelphians follow in Alyssa's footsteps, and hopefully seeing Alyssa back in West Philly after her graduation in 2027. And with that, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing Bob Smith for his standout career as a vital link between Comcast, NBC Universal, and the Philadelphia nonprofit community, introduced today by Councilman Squilla.
Chair recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution proclaiming May 9, 2023 as Kiyoshi Kuromiya Day in Philadelphia for his contribution to the civil rights struggles of African Americans, the LGBTQ community, and those affected by HIV and AIDS, introduced today by Councilman Squilla.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
There are no other resolutions on the final passage calendar, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. That concludes our calendar for today, and we will now move to our speeches on behalf of the minority. There, seeing none. Speeches on behalf of the majority. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Vaughn.
Thank you, Council President. I would just like to again acknowledge all of the men and women that are here today in honor of city. It's an honor to have them here, the members of OES, as well as everyone from Prince Hall, 4301 North Broad Street. Welcome to Council. I know many of you and have watched you all grow in this order, and I am extremely proud of you all, and it is a blessing to still be a member of the organization, and we will continue to thrive and grow in the city of Philadelphia. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilman Phillips.
Thank you all. I just wanted to remind my colleagues and council staff that today, immediately after this, our council session, we have a Big Brothers Big Sisters presentation. So join us to learn about the incredible impact that Big Brothers and Big Sisters has had on our communities. I am the current chair of the Children and Youth Committee. So as you know, nonprofit work and work that organizations do for young people is incredibly important to me, but I know it's important to all of us, so I would love for us to come and hear about their 5-year strategic plan that revolves around inclusion, building community partnerships, and boosting growth and sustainability. The Chief Executive Officer, Marcus Allen, will be present, as well as Michelle Milano, who's the Chief Operating Officer. So it's today. Lunch is provided by Capitol Grill, so we're going to be in the City Council caucus room. So hope to see everyone after the presentation, after today's session, for the presentation from Big Brothers Big Sisters. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilman Thomas.
Good morning, Council President. Good afternoon, Council President. Good afternoon, colleagues. First and foremost, I just want to send some light and love and well wishes to my sister, my friend, and her family and friends, Councilmember Brooks. We're praying for her and her entire group of folks who have been deeply hurt by the loss of a loved one. Outside of that, I did want to take a moment to also give a shout out to my sister in Memphis. If folks don't know, this past week, Memphis City Council passed the driving equality legislation, and they did it in a direct response to an unfortunate situation that a lot of people seen go viral, but they did it as a way to try to improve the relationship between communities of color and law enforcement, and that was our goal here in the city of Philadelphia. It's an honor to be the author of such legislation and to work with a legislative body who thought it was important to be able to acknowledge the fact that we have a problem as it relates to how communities of color are policed. And we wanted to at least offer a step in the right direction. We're not saying this is the end-all, be-all solution, but we at least wanted to offer a step in the right direction. I also wanted to take a moment to thank our city solicitor, Solicitor Cortez, as well as Attorney Kiera Bradford Gray for successfully defending a lawsuit against driving equality, which the courts essentially ruled in our favor last week. So at the end of the day, the last 2 weeks has been an emotional and overwhelming 2 weeks for me and other folks who are really passionate about this issue, and I can assure you that the work will continue. So thank you, Council President, and thank you, colleagues, because at the end of the day, I appreciate you working with me, supporting me, and believing in the idea that we can both support police and improve the relationship between communities of color and law enforcement simultaneously. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to rise to acknowledge the hard work you're doing on the budget and the long hours you are doing through the hearings, and to acknowledge my colleagues and the level of questioning and inquiry about budget that I've heard over these hearings. It is risen in its It's intellectual properties, and it's not the same questions from years and years ago. I'm listening to them and thankful. Finally, I want to thank my colleagues for bringing these young people here today. From Lankenau and from Paul Robeson, the young lady that's going to Harvard, and I said it that way because of Member Phillips being from Yale, and he gave her a shout out, which was incredible to me. But it flies in the face of what you would read in the papers. It flies in the face of what we saw with 200 young people running around, that there are good young people. And I thank you every week when you give them a round of applause. Because when we acknowledge the positive members of our young society, it shows that they're the majority. And that folks running around doing some of the bad things aren't the majority. And that there is hope. That is why June, I swear to you, is my favorite month. Why? Because that's when the graduations happen. And then we watch and we celebrate our young people going off to start a life, to begin a career. And we forget sometimes that they are the majority and that there's reason for optimism about our future. And I want to thank you all. And by the way, that young lady learned polo in the 4th District up at Chamonix. Ain't that right? There you go. So those accomplishments spread throughout the city of Philadelphia, touch every zip code. So thank you guys for acknowledging our youth. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilman Harity.
Oh, Council President, colleagues, whoa, that's really loud. I just wanted to thank my mentor, my friend, my spiritual advisor, Reverend John Roberts, for praying over us today. I've known Reverend Roberts for over 25 years. We worked together in the Sheriff's Department, actually shared an office together for a while. And he helped guide me and keep me on the right path. Without people like Reverend Roberts, so many young people would fall through the cracks. So I would just like to thank him for all his support of me and just tell him I love you, my brother. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson. Were you up? Were you teed up? It keeps. All right, so Councilwoman Bass is next. Keeps changing. Bass next? Okay. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to follow up on my colleague's, Councilman Harity's comments regarding Pastor Roberts. And I know he said he loves you. I love you more. Pastor Roberts is someone who, one of my first introductions into Christ was through Pastor Roberts. And so I have much love and appreciation for you and all that you do in our community from North Philly. So, yes, in the neighborhood. I just wanted to mention a couple of things. And the first is that I wanted to remind members that today at 1, we're having a Parks and Recreation Committee hearing. It should be very brief. If folks could be on at 1, we'll be done at 1:10, 1:15. It'll be very short. There's one very quick bill that needs to be addressed, and nothing controversial, but we would love to have everybody there on time. I also wanted to acknowledge the work done by my colleague, Councilman Phillips, on his bill today around nuisance businesses. As you know, we introduced the nuisance business bill several years ago, and then we worked on the stop and go bill, which has been effective, but the work continues on. I know my colleague, Councilwoman Kathy Gilmore Richardson, has done work on this matter, Councilman Curtis Jones. I really shouldn't call out names because I think pretty much every district member in particular, and including Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson, has done work on this issue, because we know what it's like when you have a nuisance business in the neighborhood that's really destroying the fabric of that community. And so I just wanted to say thank you and kudos, and of course you have my strong support. Anything that we can do to make these what really should be community institutions and a resource for members of those communities to get them online and in support with what the community needs. We are here to support you and your efforts in that. And last but not least, I just wanted to thank this body and the administration. I wasn't able to make it yesterday for the announcement of the additional resources that's going to be provided around cameras, around parks and recreation centers. But as you all know, Mr. President, this body, in 2013, I think it was, we undertook this effort. We did our announcement in the second council district with Councilman Kenyatta Johnson. I think it was at Marion Anderson, was it? And so, this is another issue that continues on. Cameras are an important part of fighting crime today. This is not some surveillance program. This is an important addition to help police solve crimes and really prevent crimes, particularly around our most vulnerable citizens. So I just wanted to thank this body for the work that we've done on that throughout the years and continue to do. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And by the way, at the announcement, the mayor did acknowledge and tepidly committed during this budget process to put more money in for the expansion of additional cameras around the city of Philadelphia. So we should look forward to our budget debate and put millions and millions more dollars to make sure. And Councilwoman, thank you for initiating this initially with the cameras inside the rec center many years back. Thank you. Appreciate you. Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. I'm just going to be real brief. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to review a very eye-opening article in the Philadelphia Inquirer that talked about the household inequality of income, particularly for African Americans here in the city of Philadelphia. The report talked about how the income amongst African Americans since 2010 pretty much stayed stagnant, only increased by $2,000, but however, for white residents here in the city of Philadelphia, it increased by $15,000, by Latinos $10,000, and Asians $7,000, right? And I support everyone having the opportunity to increase the quality of their lives, but this is also a stark reminder when we address the issue of poverty here in the city of Philadelphia. The policies that we implement throughout this body and also out the city agencies as a whole has to be intentional when it comes to making sure black and brown people have a seat at the table to improve the economic equality and disparities that are taking place here in the city of Philadelphia. So when we talk about the issue of crime and gun violence, right, there's a direct correlation, as my colleague, Councilwoman Jamie Gardier, always talks about. Those high zip codes where you see high poverty, you see high crime, you see high gun violence. And so as we move forward, we as a body, and I know myself, is going to be making sure I continue talking about this particular issue, but most importantly, beyond talking, working in partnership with my members to figure out how do we really aggressively, continuously move the needle when it comes to poverty, to erase that stigma of being the number one big city when it comes to poverty. But most importantly, in terms of this report, this specific report talks about how African Americans are on the lowest totem pole when it comes to income inequality more than any other race. But yet we have the most and prominent African Americans in key leadership positions. And that's not right, and that's totally unacceptable. And so I look forward to working with my colleagues from a partnership standpoint, a coalition standpoint, but this is something that we have to really do a deeper dive in and making sure that we're helping those who are most vulnerable, and particularly based on this report, when it comes to moving the needle for African Americans, we got to do a better job. So I just wanted to put that out there for the record, and thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. I know I'm not supposed to speak But Councilman, you bring up an interesting point. There was a meeting last night in Brewerytown, and it was about the Turn the Key program, about the Affordable Homeownership Initiative, and there were over 80 people in that meeting. And the conversation from the citizens was about being able to buy a home to build family wealth. Overwhelmingly African-American attendance in the meeting. So you're absolutely right. Building family wealth, generational health is so, so important. Thank you, Councilman. Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gautier.
President, I too wanted to extend my condolences to my friend, Councilmember Brooks, in the loss of her beloved family member, and let her know that she and her family are in my thoughts at this time. And I also wanted to take a moment to thank Majority Leader Jones for his partnership in extending my mixed income neighborhoods overlay bill to a portion of the 4th District. We voted on that today. The bill requires that at least 20% of new developments, 10 units or more, whether they are rental or home ownership, be deeply affordable to working class people in our communities. And the bill also requires that those units are built on site. Although I greatly value our Housing Trust Fund and the voluntary legislation that allows developers to pay into it in lieu of building affordable housing into their developments, I think having the units is very important, and this bill requires that the units be in the development. And the reason that that's important is because the brick and mortar real estate is going to define who can be in a neighborhood and who cannot be in a neighborhood. And I also thank Councilmember Johnson for bringing up the article about the disparity in black wealth, and I wanted to also quote a passage from that article, which says, a declining black population in the city and a declining poverty rate for black Philadelphians may also suggest that less affluent black residents can't afford to live in the city and are moving to inner ring suburbs. And so I wanted to highlight that to say that maintaining equity in housing and in our neighborhoods is not going to happen by accident. It's going to happen through very intentional public policy, through very intentional investment of resources like the Neighborhood Preservation Initiative, and I feel proud to be a part of a council body that recognizes that. So thank you very much, Councilman, for your partnership.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very quickly, I want to remind people we will be taking a tour of the Fire Academy Training Center tomorrow for those members who can attend and their staff. We found it very helpful in the other facilities like the Police Training Academy, where Officer Driscoll mounted up and did a virtual reality stop and found out how difficult it is to both balance public safety and preserve the rights of the accused. But he did a really good job, and I quote him, "I'm Officer Driscoll, I'm here to help you." I wish every officer would lead with that. But tomorrow we'll be up at the Fire Academy. We'll be leaving outside of City Hall at 10 a.m. To take a look. As a result of the last trip, we doubled down and drilled down to add more money to the Police Training Academy where needed. We hope to tour the Fire Academy to find the same types of discoveries for the training of our first responders in the city of Philadelphia. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. That concludes our speeches on behalf of the minority and majority. And with that, Chair recognizing Councilman Squilla for a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the council stand adjourned until Thursday, April 20th, 2023 at 10 a.m.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded that council stand adjourned until Thursday, April 20th, 2023, 10 a.m. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you all very much, and please be seated.